Hello and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad that you're here. Today we are talking about the show Seeking Sister Wife. Now, before I get started, I have to tell you something. I've never seen this show. I've never watched it. It just looked like something that would make me absolutely angry the entire time I was watching it, because even though I haven't seen the show, I have seen clips of the Merriweathers or the Merrifields. I don't even know if I'm saying their name right at all, but the one couple with Garrick. I've seen some clips of that family and I'm like, oh, there's no way I should watch this. Like, this isn't something I need to get into. But when I was thinking about another show I wanted to talk about on here, I know everyone loves Sister Wife or Sister Wives with Kody Brown, so I was like, okay, maybe I need to actually watch this show. But when I went to find season 1 and start from the beginning, I couldn't find it. Like, I don't know where to get season 1 from. So I ended up finding a season 2, but there is like a first episode that kind of looks back on season 1. So I'm going to start there today. So this is sort of like a glimpse back into season 1. So let's go ahead and get started.
My name is Jeff Aldridge, and I'm a polygamist. Good morning.
I'm currently married to two beautiful women, Vanessa and Charisse.
Good morning, honey. How are you?
We're good.
So the Aldridges, we have Jeff, Vanessa, and Charisse. Vanessa is the first wife. They are out there in Utah and they are Mormon. Vanessa is the first wife and she has 3 children. And Charisse is the second wife. She has 4 children.
Everybody ready?
I love both of my wives very much. And when I courted with Vanessa and with Charisse, I was upfront with them that I felt that my family would be larger than just 1 or 2.
Anybody want to say a blessing? Down.
So Jeff Aldridge is explaining that he is upfront about this. Like, he knew he wanted a large family from the beginning. So when he was courting the women, he told them. But listen to what they talk about next.
I was 22 at the time when he was 44.
So he didn't marry his first wife until he was 44 and then she was 22. So literally just half his age. I don't mind that he didn't get married till he was 44, whatever. But I do find it a little bit odd. Mostly because I'm like, was it off-putting to women to hear this and so he couldn't find anyone to marry him and then he pursued women much younger? Like, I don't know. It's not a huge deal, but it does feel a little bit odd to me. Specifically, if he wanted a big family. Like, if you want a really big family, it seems like you would try to get married before you're 44. So, I don't know. I'm not going to overthink it. It just seems a little strange.
I met Jeff when I was 18, I think. We both ended up being cooks at a camp out for a bunch of youth. And so we worked together for a weekend, and it was a lot of fun.
What are you going
So she was also much younger than Jeff. I mean, she's the second wife and she was 18 when she met him. But I will say this, if the wife he has is 22, at that point you probably want them to be sort of around the same age if possible. You know, bringing in a much older wife would have been difficult at that point.
to do today, Dalinar?
I grew up in this lifestyle, and one thing that I really appreciate when it comes to a polygamous lifestyle is that when a girl is dating a married man, she can see what kind of a father is and what kind of a husband he is.
If you are a Sister Wives fan with Kody Brown, you know that that does not matter at all because men change and their relationships change.
Recently, a friend has introduced me to someone on social media. Her name is Melina, and at this point we're just chatting, but I think there's some real potential there. Love you.
So Melina, it looks like she is the potential wife for them. Of course, I'm going all the way back to like 2018 when this show was on. I'm sure some of you already know what happens, but it looks like were considering Melina.
My name is Dimitri Snowden. I'm 36 years old, and this is my beautiful wife, Ashley Snowden.
Dimitri and I have been together for 8 years, and we have 2 children together.
So the Snowdens do not fit the stereotype of what we often think about with polygamists. They're not out there in Utah. They're not Mormon. But what I'm actually stopping for here is they say that they've been married for 8 years, and now they're going to bring in someone new. With the Browns, with Kody Brown and Janelle, Christine, and Mary, they were together as a family for 16 years before they brought in Robin. Do you think there is a good amount of time a couple should wait before they bring in a new wife, or do you think they should go early in the marriage and bring in people new? Does it matter that it's the second wife and not a fourth or fifth wife? What do you guys think about the timeline for polygamist? Should they be moving fast to add more members, or do you think they should wait longer and be more settled in their other relationships?
We dated for 2 years and then committed ourselves to each other. When Ashley and I met, I told her my vision for the family was to have more than one wife.
So they seem like a really cute couple, and that's a good amount of time to date before you get married or, become more committed to each other. So that seems, typical. And I will say they're not bringing up their ages. They're not making a big deal out of their ages. I think with the Aldridges, they knew that was going to shock people, but this family seems, the age gap or age difference isn't worth noting. So I just found that interesting, but not surprising with TLC and the way their shows are made.
I studied anthropology in college, and polygamy is one of the family structures that we focused on. There were definitely some beautiful aspects to living the lifestyle. So I'm like, oh, let's explore what that means.
I am definitely not someone that thinks everyone needs to pursue college or higher education to have like a great career or a fulfilling life. But I do think it's nice to hear that she is educated, because so often when we think of the stereotype of polygamous families and what that stereotypical image is of a polygamous family, we think of women who might have been held back from pursuing an education, or they don't have the means to go out and really provide for themselves well. So the fact that she's educated and she can go, she's not there because she has to be there. She's educated and could pursue work and have a good job if she wanted to leave. Like, I don't know if I'm expressing that well. It's just kind of refreshing to see that here.
I'm currently pregnant with my third, and I think I'm at my capacity with 3 children. You can at least have 3 more with another wife.
Whoever we date has to be on the same page. We're not just looking for a wife for me. She's got to be a companion to Ashley, and she's got to be a true member of the family.
I always think it's interesting when they talk about having an additional wife have more children, and you hear her there. You hear Ashley say you can have 3 more children with another wife, but it's not just that this woman would be bringing children into this family. There's another relationship that has to be maintained there, which means that's time away from the children that Ashley has. The big thing with the polygamy, remember when Cody Brown used to have that line about love should be multiplied? Yeah, and it's time consuming, and you only have so much time. So even though I think Dimitri and Ashley are really nice, I hope that they are considering that this is a relationship that he will maintain. It's not just someone there to bring in more children. It's going to be something that takes time away from her and her own children as well.
We recently created an online dating profile.
And we met a woman online. Jocelyn is 22.
So that is the potential new wife, Jocelyn, and she's 22 years old, and they found her online on a dating website. So we have the potential new wife for them.
Let me ask you, polygamy is on the outside of what normal relationship in this country looks like. What does your family think about it?
I don't think it would be something that they judge me for.
So they are doing a video call to chat with her and ask her more questions and get to know her more. So they start asking questions about polygamy and how her family would feel, and if she cares about what other people would think about her being a polygamist.
How do you feel about being public with that?
I don't really care what other people think.
It's so easy to say that, but not really understand the consequences that there could be in the future, But that's true with anyone, with anything. Like, I don't think this is necessarily polygamy or her age that plays into this. It's just, it's easy to think I don't care what people think until it's actually happening.
I'm 36. Like, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I tend to date older. I don't really like people my age. I'm 22.
That is the most typical younger woman response when she's talking to an older guy that I've ever heard. Like, she said what I think is said by anyone that is in that situation. Like, oh, I typically date older, or I prefer to date older people. Like, that is such a typical response. Again, nothing against her. Like, I think she's just doing what younger people do. So we move over from the Snowdens in Atlanta to the Aldridges in Utah. And the Aldridge family, they are about to have a video call with Melina, which is the woman that is the potential new wife.
Jeff and I have both been talking with Melina for a while now, and Vanessa hasn't really reached out to talk to her yet.
Charisse said that Vanessa hasn't reached out yet. I wonder why. Like, what is stopping her from doing it? Is it just time? Or is she not that into the idea of a new wife right now? I wonder what's going on with that. Because we know with the Browns, this becomes an issue. When Robin came into the family, Christine sort of felt like she was left out because she met Robin last.
I think we all feel like our family's not done growing.
Yeah. I just, there's one thing that I haven't quite shared with you yet.
The way she is saying that is actually making me feel nervous. Like, I'm nervous for her. The way she, you know how people will do that. They get really nervous and they kind of pause, and you can tell they don't want to say the next words they need to say. I'm a little bit nervous for her.
I can't have children of my own.
I don't have any idea what I expected her to say, but that wasn't actually it. Like, there was a little bit of buildup where I've cut it out of here, but she says, I love children and I wanted to be a mother. So I started to realize then where it was going. But for some reason, that wasn't what I thought she was going to say when she said there was something she needed to tell them. I have no idea what I thought, but I thought it was going to be something much more like ominous. I don't know. I have no idea what I thought was going to come there. That just wasn't it.
One of the things that really drew me to the polygamous family is there are still children that I can be a part of their lives.
I mean, that is true. These families tend to have a lot of children, more than they can handle. So, I mean, essentially she could come in as an additional adult and help and be a part of the family if they were able to actually adjust and bring her fully in as a family member. Maybe that would work.
I'm just really grateful that you've been willing to share it with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we got piles of kids.
It can be difficult to know what to say when someone gives you news like that, especially if you weren't expecting it at all. So I think they did okay. I think they had a good response, and Jeff Aldridge actually comes off as very likable.
With Melina not being able to have children, that brings up this idea that that's such a main component of Mormon thought. The reality is it's very important to us, but so is the individual, and the worth of a soul is great, in the sight of God, and we would love her for who she is.
It was nice to hear that. I know with polygamists, they're always talking about growing a family and a bigger family and having more children. So hearing Jeff Aldridge respond in this way is really nice, or at least I think it is. I think this was nice to hear that this isn't going to play a role in whether or not Melina can be an additional wife.
So I think we should just move forward and get to know her.
Charisse and Jeff both seem to really like her, though Vanessa hasn't said very much at all. So I'm interested in what Vanessa is thinking. And from here, we move back over to the Snowdens in Atlanta.
We've been chatting online for a couple of weeks with a woman named Jocelyn, and it's a pretty big deal that she's flying all the way from Seattle to come meet us.
So Jocelyn flew from Seattle to Atlanta to finally meet Dimitri and Ashley, and they are going to go on a date as a group. And then if it goes well, Dimitri is going to go on a date with Jocelyn just by himself so he can get to know her alone.
What brought you to this, and then further gave you some definition about what you wanted to have happen?
Well, definitely not religion. I don't know, I just feel like it fits me. It's like having that extra hand and building, I kind of not an army, I don't want to make it into that, but a tribe. Yeah, a tribe, yeah.
Again, this family is really refreshing because, this isn't religion. This isn't based on any sort of spirituality. No one's forced into this. Everyone's capable of leaving. So I don't know. This is refreshing to see. I would watch this show more if if there's more of this. So let me know in the comments. Are we going to see more people who don't kind of fit the stereotype as I keep going? Or are we going to have more of the Aldridges, which are the more typical polygamist families? Are we going to have more of those or more of these guys? But overall, I think Jocelyn is lovely. I think she just seems very pleasant.
Are you ready to be mommy? Like,
Yeah, 5 and 3. I think those are nice ages. It would be a little more complicated if they're like 12 or 13, but I feel like it'll be easier to enter a family with younger kids.
It is interesting to see a first date with a polygamous couple because the questions they ask are, really different. I mean, they have to just get right to it. Like, are you ready for this type of relationship and this lifestyle? You can't really wait to get to know someone better because it's one of the main things, Like, you have to get right down to it.
If she's giving responses that are, honest to how she actually feels, or if these are responses that she believes that, would qualify her as the perfect potential.
Dimitri is 100% into this date. He's into Jocelyn. He really likes her. But I think as a woman and as a wife, you can tell that Ashley is a little bit more skeptical, and Ashley has expressed concern that Jocelyn, it may be just too young. Even though it seems to be going well, I think, Ashley has all sorts of concerns that are completely reasonable.
would you be okay with, us going out on a date later on this evening? Babies can hang out with you?
Do you think that he was nervous asking her that? I wonder if he felt like the butterfly in the stomach kind of feeling asking his wife if he could go on a date. And I don't like it when people are put on the spot in front of another person. That is a huge thing for me. Like, I feel like she has to say yes because Jocelyn is sitting there. I mean, I guess she doesn't have to, but I think a lot of people would feel pressure to say yes.
Of course.
And would you go to dinner with me this evening?
Yes, I would. I would love to.
Great.
I don't know if it was TLC's editing or if it's just me, but I felt like she didn't want to say yes at that moment. But she did. She went ahead and said, of course. So he is now going on a date with Jocelyn.
You're not just like passively okay. Like, do you want me to go?
You should know me by now.
You're like cheerleading me to go on a date?
You should know me by now.
You should know me by now. That is her response. And I think it's hilarious because if I were to respond like that to that question in that situation, that would probably mean I was angry. And later on, when the cameras were gone, I had a whole lot to say. Like, to me, that's one of those answers you give when you're not going to give the real answer. So I just thought that was funny. It doesn't seem to be that way with her, though. She seems to be on board with the date. So we go back to Utah with the Aldridges. They are ready to meet Melina.
We're almost ready to go to the airport to pick up Melina, and I'm really excited at the idea that I get to meet her for the first time.
So the Aldridges head to the airport. Charisse is definitely very excited. So is Jeff. Again, I don't feel like Vanessa is saying as much, but unfortunately, they get there and Melina does not arrive. And you can tell that Charisse is so disappointed. Like, it looks like she's trying not to cry at certain points. They've brought signs that they've made and the kids have decorated. I just feel like Charisse was very invested in Melina. Like, she seemed to really like her. So she is sad that she's not at the airport.
I'm really shocked at the fact that she just didn't come.
Melina has all the right in the world to not show up, not be on camera, not want to be in a polygamous relationship. She is completely okay. Like, to me, it's okay that she's not there. She doesn't want to do this. She changed her mind, fine. But I do think she could have sent a simple text. It could have just said, I didn't get on the plane. Sorry. It could have said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on camera. Anything to let them know that they shouldn't be standing in the airport waiting for her. She doesn't actually owe them an explanation. Like, she doesn't owe them anything more than that. I think most people can understand why you might change your mind about polygamy or change your mind about being on a reality show. But leaving them standing in the airport, I don't know. I just wouldn't do it myself. So from this very sad scene in an airport, we go over to Atlanta where Dimitri and Jocelyn are going on their date alone, and it is going wonderfully. Like, Dimitri is 100% into her. Ashley is, excited, and they're all smiling and googly-eyed, and they're just into each other. And so they start just talking about polygamy and life and their relationships, all their first date stuff. Even though it's sort of a second date, it's more of a traditional date. They're like dressed nice and they're in a nicer restaurant. So anyway, I'm going to throw a clip in where they talk about how they would split the time, like between the two wives.
I ideally don't want to have a defined schedule. I don't want to have a chart
Yeah, me
on
either.
the refrigerator where it
because
says like Ashley and then Jocelyn and Ashley. And like, I'm not interested.
it feels so generic to me. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's really generic.
Yeah.
Dimitri might not want to make a chart, but in the wives' heads, I assure you there will be a chart, and they will be checking to see if he is spending equal amount of time with each of them and if he's spending enough time with the kids. So he might as well go ahead and make that chart.
Right now, I'm on cloud nine. I'm pretty high off this evening.
So Dimitri and Jocelyn really enjoyed their date, and they say they don't want it to end, and they ask the questions that, people might ask during a first date if it's going well. Do you believe in love at first sight? You know what I mean? Like, it's going really, really well, but the date does have to end because he needs to go back to his wife. So it ends, but then it says later in the evening when the camera crews were gone, Jocelyn and Dimitri met up, so there were no cameras with them. Because the cameras weren't with them, we don't get to see any of that, which is fine. But he does have to go and talk to Ashley the next day about what happened the previous night.
Everything we talked about, like homeschooling, children.
So, anything else?
It is written all over her face that she knows more went down than just conversation, and that is what she wants to know about. She doesn't want to know about homeschooling and kids. She wants to know what else happened, and of course, he is not mentioning that at all.
We did after dinner. We did go out to some place and had like a nightcap. We had a couple of drinks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear how she said, "Oh yeah"? Yeah. Dimitri is in trouble. She is not happy.
Thought I heard you say something.
Yeah, we were intimate. We were intimate.
Okay.
So it took him a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, to finally tell her that. I cut out some of the silent moments there, but he does finally tell her, and listen to how she responds.
The first thing that pops in my mind is, why?
I think Dimitri knew that he shouldn't have went back and spent more time with her alone, but I have to tell you, I am really surprised that this seems to be something they didn't discuss more thoroughly. I feel like they would have been very thorough on what their expectations were and what was acceptable and what wasn't, so I'm a little surprised that this conversation is going down like this.
This is the life that I've chosen. No one forced me into this. So I'm very well aware that my husband is going to be intimate with another woman. I just like to make sure that we choose her, together.
Her facial expression is reading as very unhappy, which is understandable. Again, just like I said earlier, it seems like they would have agreed on what they were, what was okay between the two of them before this happened. Instead of her being upset afterwards. And she says this is the life she chose. She chose to be in a polygamous relationship. She did not choose to just be okay with everything that happens. So she's allowed to create boundaries. And it's such a modern take on polygamy. They're not that, like I said, the stereotype of what a polygamous family is. They don't seem to be like that. So I just don't understand here why there wasn't a clear boundary created in their relationship unless there already was one, and that is why she's so upset. That would make more sense. From here, we head back over to Utah with Jeff, Vanessa, and Charisse. The family is disappointed that Melina didn't meet them, but they are distracted by something much more positive, and that is Vanessa's pregnancy. So they head to meet with the midwife and hear the baby's heartbeat for the first time. But unfortunately, it doesn't go as well as expected, and they get some terrible news here. So I'm going to put in a little clip here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's very sad. I mean, it's just what you would expect. She went in thinking she was pregnant, and this is the news that she got.
Possible it's a molar pregnancy, an undefined cell that kind of grows out of control.
The body thinks you're pregnant, and it's feeding it like it is pregnant with all the hormone levels and everything.
So this family is feeling disappointment from Melina not coming, but then they get this is tragic news. This is devastating for them. And then they get the additional news that like it's going to require a surgery. There's actually a health issue here. That's just a lot. I mean, Melina is not that big of a deal at all. I don't want to compare someone not showing up for a date to actually finding out you have a medical issue, finding out you're not pregnant. I don't want to compare the two things, but I feel like all at once it ends up being a lot. There's just a lot in different areas of their life, and it's all happening at the same time. So I'm sure this time period for the family was very, very overwhelming. Vanessa ends up having surgery. There's a scene where they show Charisse at home taking care of the kids while, you know, she's off having the surgery. I will tell you this, when I saw the scene of Charisse taking care of the children while Vanessa and Jeff went into the surgery, here's the thing, this family seems to be pretty darn functional. You know, we see all sorts of issues with the Browns and jealousy and time, and is Cody with the wives enough? Are they showing up for the things they need to? They seem to all be functioning, living in the same house, taking care of the kids. So unless there's something I don't know, like, I like this family. Like, I might be missing something though, because I'm watching this all condensed into one episode. So I don't know though. Right now I like Jeff Aldridge and his wives. But from here we're going to move back over to the Snowdens in Atlanta, where things are not going as well.
Ashley and I have guidelines, a framework for how we're supposed to engage and move through the dating process. And in my excitement with Jocelyn, you know, I kind of violated what we previously spoke about.
Ah, there it is. That's it. I knew it. I knew Ashley was way too smart to not talk about this. It wasn't adding up, but they did talk about it. So this is all Dimitri's fault. He is in trouble and he knew better. So there we go. He has told us.
I did get a text from her earlier if she wanted to meet up.
Was that in the group text? I don't have my phone, or did she just send
it? It was just to me.
Ashley wants to know if that was in the group text. I can't help it. That is hilarious. I like Ashley. I like that she's sticking up for herself. And I like that she's going to call him out for what is going wrong here. So good for her. But I like it. Was that in a group text?
This lifestyle before. We did find someone that we really liked. And it became clear pretty quickly that, you know, she wasn't really interested in building a bond with me.
So they have done this before, and it sounds like it didn't go well, and Dimitri ought to know better now. But I love on this show how they just focus in on Dimitri's face as she's talking. And yeah, I don't even know what to say that facial expression is, but he knows it went down bad, and he is making the same face when they talk about this situation as well. Dimitri asks Ashley if she feels like Jocelyn owes her an explanation about what happened the night before, and listen to what Ashley says.
I do. Hopefully she will say something, you know? Right. If she doesn't say anything, yeah, this is probably not gonna work.
Honestly, I don't think it matters if she gives her an explanation or not. I think it is, you know, left a bad taste in Ashley's mouth, and it's not gonna work anyway. But they end up meeting with Jocelyn and going on a date. And the expectation from Ashley is that Jocelyn will need to say something about what happened the night before. But before we go to that date, we're going to go back to Utah and find out what is happening with Jeff, Vanessa, and Charisse. We find out that Vanessa's surgery went well and the tumor was removed, but they are going to have to continue to monitor her to see if there are more tumors or if it is cancer. But listen to what she says about Charisse.
I'm at a loss for words to see how much Charisse has done for me. It helps me to recognize the benefits of having a sister wife and the blessing that it is and why I chose this lifestyle.
You know, it is nice to see a polygamous family with 2 wives where it's working. I think when we used to watch the Browns in the beginning, this is what they talked about, but we're seeing it happen right now with the Aldridges. They went through something that could have been horrible for their family, but they all came together and they were all supportive of one another. So I don't know, it was a really bad situation and still could be bad. I mean, it's a health issue again, but you know, look at how it's turned out. They kind of appreciate each other even more. So we're going to go back over to the Snowdens in Atlanta, and it is time for their group date again with Jocelyn before she leaves. I'm just going to tell you guys, it is incredibly awkward. It is one of those times where you can just feel the tension because it's obvious that Ashley isn't being as friendly as she was the day before. So yeah, I'm just going to throw in some clips of the date with all three of them.
I'm curious to see if she will tell me the truth about being intimate with Dimitri.
So I like Ashley, but I'm going to be 100% honest here. I think expecting her to tell you that at a restaurant the day after you've met her in person is unfair. Dimitri is responsible, in my opinion, for having this conversation. And I also think it's unrealistic to expect the other woman to understand that you want to know if they've been intimate. Most women wouldn't want to know. Like, if you were in a polygamous relationship, would you want to know when the other wife and your husband had been together? I wouldn't want to know. Like, just knowing that it happens is all I need to know. I don't need to know when and what happened. And this isn't even someone, this woman's not a part of their family. She might not feel comfortable even jumping into a conversation like that. So I feel like this is an unrealistic expectation. I think this falls back more on Dimitri.
At our lunch, I had two options. I could bring it up and we could hash it out right there, or I could not bring it out and hope that she did.
So this ends up being the deal breaker. If she doesn't bring it up, this is not going anywhere. So Ashley has that in her mind the whole time. That is really what she's focused on hearing, is if Jocelyn will tell about what happened the night before.
So what else happened on the date?
So Ashley is sort of leading her into this. Like, she's asking leading questions. Like, so what happened? So what else happened? She's really wanting Jocelyn to say something. But to me, Ashley is not being maybe as friendly as she was the day before. And I also think Jocelyn's in a weird position. Should she bring up what happened after the date at the restaurant? Should she talk? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right answer is here. To me, it's such an uncomfortable situation. It doesn't feel like it's Jocelyn's responsibility. And I wouldn't assume that the other woman would want to hear it. So I actually understand why Jocelyn isn't saying anything.
No, if you made a decision, whether you thought it was a mistake or whether you were quite comfortable in making that decision, you should be the one to, honor that. To me, it's a part of the sisterhood.
Is it a part of the sisterhood? See, I think I wouldn't be a good sister wife because I just wouldn't be. And I also would not think that was a part of the sisterhood. I don't know. Part of me feels like in order to survive, you don't talk about it. Like, if you want your relationship to survive and there's multiple partners, maybe you just don't discuss the intimacy. But maybe I'm wrong. I would not be good at this. This is not a thing that I could ever do.
So are you both sure that you're ready to bring someone into your relationship?
Yeah, I just think transparency and honesty is key.
I think that's a fair question, and I am wondering myself if they're ready to bring someone into it. They've done this before and it hasn't worked. It sounds like she kind of places the blame on the woman. What about Dimitri being held accountable for not, following through with the rules they created in their relationship? So I'm wondering if it's a good idea for them to bring someone in as well. And it looks like Jocelyn may be wondering if this is the right thing for her.
Come on, girl. Like, you didn't think that what you were doing might have been a little off? Like, hey, let me check in with Ashley first to see how she feels about this. Like, that part is a little whack.
Maybe it is, but there is still that part of me that thinks more of this needs to fall back on Dimitri. I don't know. I think everyone has different opinions about it. Maybe it should have been discussed between the women first, but maybe the women should have went on like a date together, did some sort of activity to just see how they connected without Dimitri around. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. What was that? Who's the issue here? What's the problem going on with this situation? But we're going to go back to the Aldridges in Utah. So here we go.
Hello?
Hi, Charisse. It's Melina.
Oh, hi. I didn't expect to hear from you. So Melina is here in Utah, and she wants to explain what happened.
Jeff, Vanessa, and Charisse are at an Italian restaurant there in Utah, and Melina is going to be meeting them to talk about what happened when she did not arrive at the airport.
I had my stuff packed, got to the airport. I could not get on that plane.
Couldn't get on the plane, but definitely could still send a text message.
And the reason why, I had a connection with Charisse. I still have a connection with Charisse. I absolutely adore her. I didn't have that with you and you.
I'm not really surprised to hear that. Earlier in the episode, it was mentioned that Vanessa hadn't really been reaching out to get to know her, so I'm not surprised that she's saying this.
The whole time I'm thinking, why didn't you contact us? Why couldn't you reach out and at least tell us what was happening?
Yeah, I'm with Vanessa on this clearly. There was no reason for her not to make some sort of contact so they weren't standing in the airport waiting on her.
My fear of disappointing people and hearing that in their voice is the reason why I couldn't call. I was a mess.
I know that texting people can be a bit of a cop-out, but it's better to do that than do nothing at all. And with a text, you know what? You can send it and turn your phone off, and then give yourself some time before you turn it back on. It's better, in my opinion, to do that than just not say anything. And you know what? It makes people get their feelings hurt even more and puts them in an awkward position. So I just think she should have reached out.
You know, part of me was feeling that Vanessa does not want to get to know me.
What? You know I wasn't communicating a lot, but I thought things were okay.
I just feel like if there was maybe more of an effort, maybe if I was worthy of an effort, I don't know.
Well, that just got straight to the point, didn't it? But in her defense, I even mentioned earlier in this episode, like, why is Vanessa not reaching out? Why is she getting to know Jeff and Charisse so much more? Why isn't she getting to know Vanessa more? So it makes me wonder if Vanessa just didn't want this to go on or wasn't ready for this herself.
Why come now?
So Vanessa wants to know why she's flown out now. Like, why did you come to the restaurant and meet with us at this point when you're not connected with me and Jeff? That's basically what she's wanting to know. But it's also very clear with how she said this, she's not happy. So this dinner is not comfortable, and this date or get together or meet or whatever it's called for them is not going well.
I'm needing more and expecting more, and so I'm open to getting to know you more. You know, it's an invitation to build a friendship.
Thank you.
So Vanessa is letting her know that she's open to it, but I have to be honest, it's not the most friendly conversation. Like, this does not feel warm. It's not something where she's like maybe being retrospective and saying, okay, I really made a mistake by not reaching out more. I wish we would have done that more before we met. It doesn't get, there's no warm feeling here. This is a very cold conversation between the two of them.
The reason why I came out here, I wanted to give the opportunity to either have it go forward or put closure on it.
Melina is closing this chapter. She does not feel like there's a connection with Jeff and Vanessa, so she's going to go back home and just move on with her life, of course. Meanwhile, the Aldridges, they get together after this all happens when they're back at home and talk about what went down with Melina.
I kind of feel like Melina never gave us a chance. She came in and she left.
Yeah, the judgment was made before she even arrived.
You know, in the beginning, it takes time. You don't connect with everybody all at once. And I think that Melina came into getting to know our family expecting to have a bond with everybody because that's just what you look for when you're dating someone.
It really feels like Charisse is ready to bring someone new into the family, where it feels like Vanessa, maybe she's not as sure. Maybe she's not as ready. But I don't know. Again, I'm watching this all condensed down to one episode. So I'm wondering if I had watched the full season, what if she expressed that more? So if you watched it, let me know. Was Vanessa on board for this, or is she a little like holding back a little bit when it comes to bringing on a new wife?
Moving forward, I'm really going to make an effort to open up and extend myself so that I can make those connections and not miss out on meeting new people in my life and potentially the next member of our family.
So it sounds like in the future, Vanessa is going to handle things a little bit differently, but that is all that we see in this episode for the Aldridges. So looking back on season 1, it looks like they didn't get a new wife, at least during that season. And so we're going to head back over to the Snowdens, where we see Ashley and Dimitri are talking about the date and how everything went down with Jocelyn.
We had another group date with Jocelyn, and the goal of this lunch was for Jocelyn to come clean. And she didn't. And that was already part of my concern going in, was her level of maturity.
That was your point.
Maybe Jocelyn didn't even realize she needed to come clean because she didn't think she did anything wrong. Dimitri was the one who went and spent time with her. Jocelyn might have thought it was absolutely okay. Maybe she didn't realize there was anything to come clean about. So I am on Team Jocelyn here. I like Ashley, but I think she's wrong when it comes to having the expectation that this woman would come to a restaurant and say all this. She probably thinks Dimitri already told her. Maybe she thinks having this conversation in public isn't, the right place. There could be a million reasons she didn't, and I'm going to be honest, I understand several of them. So I'm on Team Jocelyn.
I think, moving forward, I can't say that I'm interested.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think they need to bring on another wife for a while. I don't know why, but now toward the end of this episode, I'm like, maybe Ashley's not ready for this.
We all had hopes that this was going to be an epic thing, and I messed it up.
He said it. He said it. He messed it up. It was him. I agree with that. And it sounds like he's messed it up before.
Relationships can be tough on their own. Within polygamy, when you're adding another, sometimes it just complicates things further.
It's complicated for Dimitri and Ashley, and there's not actually another wife yet. This is complicated from them from the beginning, and I can't help but think maybe it's not a good idea. I think it's not a good idea for most people. So it's not like I'm insulting them. It's just, maybe this isn't the right thing for this couple, or maybe it's really not the right thing for Ashley. Dimitri entered the relationship saying he wanted this. Maybe Ashley wasn't really thinking it all through and how she would feel when it went down. But also, it looks like Dimitri is not respecting boundaries. So I don't want to lay this all on Ashley. I think the problem is actually Dimitri. But I think even if they got past this, we know when there's multiple wives, issues continue on. And is this really what's best for Ashley in her life? Is this the best situation for her? I don't know. But that is the condensed sort of episode they made that was put out before season 2. So they're sort of going back and looking back at season 1. I know there was a third couple in season 1. So I don't know who they are and what happened to them, but I'm guessing they didn't come back for season 2. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about this show. Go ahead and leave any comments. Fill me in on things I might have missed in season 1 that are interesting. And also, I'm trying to work a little more on getting my audio better when I go from clips to my own voice. So I tried just lowering the sound of the clips more, but I am worried now that it's too low. So here's the thing. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't know a lot about video and audio stuff, so I'm trying to figure it out as I go. So if something's off, always go ahead and leave comments. You're not hurting my feelings. I'm just winging it. So it's okay if you're wanting to let me know the audio is not good or something like that. And as always, if there's another show or if I should go on with this one, let me know. If you haven't already, click like and subscribe and come back to Happily Ever Reality for more about your favorite reality TV shows.